At the end of every unit, your teacher has the chance to teach a lesson about other lessons in hand. What do you suppose our teacher has us do? He skipped the lesson and makes us present a digital LEQ. Elocution needs historical evidence, reasoning that could corroborate, and that can advance. A complex thesis that John P. Irish would admire. We drop the screencast like a single that is fired. Screencast by students for you to like, subscribe, and share. We know you had all the John Green that you can bear. If we have the most views by 10 p.m., 5th day, we provide bonus points with guarantees. It's NA without much more fanfare or ado. We present a digital LEQ.
American versus French Revolution. Big idea. How did the ideas based off of each revolution encourage a reform? Thesis. Through the French and American revolutions, both occurred in the late 18th century, were similar in the motivations of seeking independence pushed by Enlightenment ideas, and there are a substantial amount of differences in the causes of the revolutions, the participants, and the motivations and political tactics during the revolutions. Therefore, the political extent of change during and resulting from these revolutions considerably dissimilar. Contextualization. French Revolution. Enlightenment ideas are influenced by life, liberty, and equality. The estate system. First class, the clergy. Second class, the nobles. Third class, the peasants, and others. In the economic crisis, they were losing money because of the war. And because of weak leadership, there were fiscal problems and heavy opposition because he opposed the general public when creating a more representative system, which is the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizens. Contextualization. French Revolution. After Napoleon ruled, became emperor by representative. Enlightenment ideas spread, countries overthrowing kings. Contextualization. American Revolution. They believed in Enlightenment ideals, which is freedom of religion, and they wanted power through people, democracy. Colonial social class. It consisted of slaves, free blacks, farmers, middling, which is trade workers, gentry, landowners, finance, merchants, slave owners. Economic unrest. Taxes placed on citizens by British Crown started happening heavily after the French Indian War. They used British monetary system. They were led by British Crown George III. He rejected independence idea, used colonies to gain money through mainly tobacco. He assigned useless tasks to nobles. Contextualization. American Revolution. After. They got a new government, representative democracy, and constitutional republic. The president is the leader of the country. The Constitution protects individual rights, separate powers within government. And Enlightenment ideas spread, countries overthrowing kings. Historical evidence. Number 1. This right here represents third estate carrying taxation burden of financial losses due to war. Reasoning and analysis. Number 1. This image corroborates the thesis as the estate system was a huge impact on the outbreak of the French Revolution. France lost money due to war and wasteful expenses for the king. The third estate system, comprised of peasants and others, excluding clergy and nobles, carried the financial burden of France. The lower class were paying higher taxes, while the first and second estate systems did not help. This led to the third estate system questioning their position in French society. Historical evidence. Number 1. To become truly great, one has to stand with people, not above them. Charles de Montesquieu. This quote is directly from Charles. It influenced outbreak of French Revolution. Reasoning and analysis. This quote modifies the thesis by displaying a quote by a person who influenced the French Revolution. Because of Montesquieu and others, peasants were able to recognize the weak leadership and unrepresentativeness of King Louis. This led to peasants forcing the fall of the monarchy and leading to the creation of a republic. Historical Revolution, American Revolution continued. Join or die. A staple of Benjamin Franklin propaganda designed during the Revolution was severed parts. The leftmost poster was made as a warning for those who didn't join the fight on the American side, while the right served as a call for repeal of the Stamp Act. Historical evidence, American Revolution continued. The picture to the left is one of the most recognized pieces of propaganda in American history. The bloody massacre perpetrated in King Street in Boston is patriot Paul Revere's depiction of the Boston Massacre. What would become Revere's most famous engraving was published just 3 weeks after the massacre occurred almost 250 years ago. Reasoning and analysis. These propaganda posters and engravings made by American patriots and revolutionists were used during the American Revolution to affect citizens of then American British colonies to fight against the British rule in order to gain independence. This reflects as a different from the French Revolution because though the French were also involved in a colonial political upheaval, there was no other state enemy. The French were fighting the monarchy they were under the control of, particularly Louis. And while Americans were also fighting for the independence, the Americans were under the rule of an outside state. It was the American colonies versus Britain instead of the French versus the French king. These posters depict the differences in tactics used by each state in the individual revolutions. Reasoning and analysis number 2. Similar to the American Revolution, the French also has issues with tax collection, which was a factor leading to the American Revolution, as well as the Boston Tea Party and the Boston Massacre. This disgruntlement affects tax policies today, beyond the Americans' resolve to physically refusing Britain's tax policies as seen during the Boston Tea Party, the only effect of which led to American independence, while the inequalities of the French tax policies influence modern tax policies to the day. Theme analysis. Theme 5. Social interaction and organization. Theme 2. Cultural developments and interactions. Theme 3. Governance. Conclusion. The American Revolution and French Revolution were similar as they both were based off Enlightenment ideas which stressed reason, logic, freedom, and thought. In the French Revolution, the third-class estate recognized that they should not be ruled by someone who is not chosen representatively and is ignorant to the debt crisis, leaving the burden on them. The American Revolution did not agree with taxation and representation, and even though a more violent approach was taken, both people were in an inferior position based on wanting liberty and freedom. Sourcing.